Before we begin, we'd love to know, where are you watching from? Please share your city in the comments below. This is a historic moment, and we want to know from which corners of the world you're witnessing what's happening in Jerusalem. The air in Jerusalem trembles with anticipation. Thousands gather on the ancient stones, their faces illuminated by the golden light of sunset. They come from every corner of the earth, pilgrims, observers, seekers. The narrow streets of the old city pulse with energy unlike any ordinary day. This is Yom Kippur in Jerusalem. This is the moment the ancient texts have spoken about for millennia. The prophetic clock ticks louder with each passing second. You can almost hear it in the footsteps of the faithful, in the whispered prayers, in the collective breath of expectation. Jerusalem, city of prophecy, city of kings, city of divine appointment, prepares to receive the holiest day of the Jewish calendar. But this is not merely tradition. This is living prophecy manifesting in our time. From the Mount of Olives to the Western Wall, a sacred silence begins to settle. The usual noise of the bustling city fades away. Even the birds seem to understand the weight of this hour. Streets empty as the holy day approaches. Shops close their doors. Vehicles disappear from roads. The modern world recedes as ancient tradition takes center stage. This transformation happens only once a year, yet it carries the echo of thousands of years of spiritual history. Jerusalem is not merely observing Yom Kippur. It is embodying the very essence of biblical prophecy unfolding before our eyes. The prophets saw this day. They wrote of these moments. They spoke of a time when Jerusalem would once again be the spiritual epicenter of global attention. That time is now. That prophecy is today. That moment is unfolding as we witness it together across the digital expanse that connects humanity in these last days. The faithful move with purpose toward the Western Wall. Draped in white, they appear as a flowing river of purity against the golden stones. White symbolizes atonement, forgiveness, a clean slate. Every step carries the weight of personal and collective history. Some weep openly, others walk in solemn contemplation. The diversity is striking. Orthodox Jews with black hats and long beards walk alongside modern Israelis in simple clothes. Tourists and pilgrims from every nation blend into this remarkable tapestry of humanity, all drawn by an invisible spiritual magnet to this place at this precise moment in history. This convergence itself fulfills ancient words. Many peoples will come and say, "Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord." What was written is now walking. What was prophesied now breathes and moves among us. The nations gather in Jerusalem, not by political mandate, not by force, but by spiritual gravity, the undeniable pull of divine appointment manifesting in real time. Watch closely now. The sun touches the horizon, painting Jerusalem in hues of amber and gold. The exact moment approaches. The atmosphere thickens with anticipation. What happens in the next few hours will resonate across the spiritual world. Prophecy is not merely an ancient text here. It breathes and moves among the gathered masses. Time seems to fold upon itself. The days of the temple service, the exiles, the returns, the wars, the reunification, all converge in this present moment. The boundaries between past, present, and future blur in Jerusalem tonight. This is happening now. This is unfolding today. This is not historical reenactment. It is living prophecy manifesting before our eyes. For those with spiritual sensitivity, the veil between worlds grows thinner with each passing minute. Heaven bends low over Jerusalem. The spiritual and material realms overlap in ways that defy scientific explanation, yet confirm biblical revelation. This convergence of worlds was prophesied. This intersection of heaven and earth was foretold. This is the Jerusalem that the prophets saw in their visions. Not merely a geographical location, but a spiritual nexus point where divine purposes manifest in human history. Listen to the prayers rising from countless lips. Ancient Hebrew words float skyward, carrying the hopes and confessions of the gathered faithful. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. The traditional prayer echoes against stone walls that have witnessed centuries of similar supplications. The collective voice grows stronger as more join in. Young and old unite in prayer. The barriers of language dissolve as the heart speaks a universal tongue of reverence. Pilgrims who have saved for years to make this journey stand shoulder to shoulder with Jerusalem natives who have heard these prayers all their lives. Yet tonight, even the locals sense something different, something deeper, something prophetically significant. There is a weight to the prayers tonight that transcends the annual observance. There is an urgency that speaks of timeline acceleration. There is a collective spiritual intuition that this particular Yom Kippur marks something momentous in the divine calendar. The prayers themselves seem to rise higher, penetrate deeper, resonate longer. This too was prophesied, a time when prayer in Jerusalem would take on new dimensions of power and effectiveness, a time when the spiritual atmosphere over the city would shift dramatically, a time of divine visitation, disguised as tradition yet revealing itself as fulfillment to those with eyes to see. Then comes the moment everyone has been waiting for. A single sustained note pierces the evening air. The shofar, the ancient ram's horn, announces the official beginning of Yom Kippur. The sound is primal, penetrating to the very soul of all who hear it. It is both a cry and a call, a mourning and an awakening. The Tekiah, a long, sustained blast, vibrates through the stones themselves. The shofar has sounded in Jerusalem since the days of the temples, this same sound that Joshua heard at Jericho, that David incorporated into worship, that the prophets mentioned in their visions of the end times. It echoes again today, unchanged by the centuries. The shofar bridges worlds, connecting heaven and earth, past and future, prophecy and fulfillment. There is power in this ancient sound, not the manufactured power of modern technology, but the authentic power of divine ordination. The shofar was always more than an instrument. It was a prophetic tool, a spiritual weapon, a heavenly technology designed to pierce the veil between worlds. What human ears perceive as a simple sound, the spiritual realm recognizes as authoritative declaration. In Jerusalem tonight, that declaration resounds with particular clarity and force. Spiritual atmospheres shift, angelic attention focuses, demonic opposition trembles. The sound itself fulfills prophecies written millennia ago about the awakening of Zion in the last days. How many generations have stood on these same stones? How many tears have watered this sacred ground? The weight of history presses down like a tangible force. Abraham walked these hills. David established his kingdom here. Solomon built the first temple on ground not far from where the shofar now sounds. The Babylonians destroyed. Nehemiah rebuilt. Romans devastated. Centuries passed with the Jewish people in exile, yet never forgetting Jerusalem. If I forget you, O Jerusalem, may my right hand forget its skill. The ancient promise kept alive through millennia of dispersion. The miraculous return, the rebirth of a nation, the reunification of Jerusalem. And now this moment, another link in the unbroken chain of divine faithfulness and human devotion. This continuity itself is miraculous. What other people maintained such connection to an ancestral homeland through centuries of global dispersion? What other city has remained the spiritual focal point for so many despite political upheaval, conquest, destruction, and rebuilding? Jerusalem's very existence testifies to the reliability of biblical prophecy. Its modern reality confirms ancient promises. Its current status as the most contested piece of real estate on earth fulfills exactly what the prophets declared. I will make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. We are not witnessing coincidence. We are not observing random historical development. We are seeing prophecy materialize before our eyes with the precision and detail that only divine foreknowledge could achieve. Feel the spiritual gravity of this hour. It pulls at something deep within the human spirit. Even secular observers cannot deny the palpable sense of the sacred that permeates every molecule of air. Science cannot measure it, words struggle to capture it, yet it is unmistakably real to all present. The invisible becomes visible in the tears streaming down faces, in the tremble of hands raised in prayer, in the bowed heads of the reverent. The material and spiritual realms intersect in Jerusalem tonight, more powerfully than perhaps anywhere else on earth. The veil between worlds grows thin. Ancient prophecies breathe with new life. The words of Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel find fresh resonance as the shofar continues to sound its mysterious call. Even those without religious background feel it, an inexplicable heaviness, a sense of standing on holy ground, an awareness that transcends the physical senses. Journalists struggle to find words that adequately convey what they're experiencing. Cameras capture the external, but miss the essential spiritual reality unfolding. This, too, was prophesied, a time when the glory of the Lord would begin to return visibly to Jerusalem, when the spiritual atmosphere would shift tangibly, when even the skeptical would sense something beyond normal explanation. We are witnessing the first fruits of that prophesied manifestation. The shofar sounds again, the shevarim, three broken, wailing notes that speak of brokenness, of contrition, of hearts laid bare before divine scrutiny. The sound pierces through layers of pretense. It cuts to the very marrow of human existence. It reminds us of mortality, of accountability, of the brevity of human life against the backdrop of eternity. In Jerusalem, this sound carries special significance. Here, where heaven and earth meet, where spiritual reality presses with unusual force against material existence, the call to repentance resonates with supernatural clarity. The traditional prayers continue, ancient words that have sustained the faithful through exile, persecution, and restoration. Who shall live and who shall die? Who by fire and who by water? The melody is haunting, the questions eternal. Yet tonight, these words seem to carry additional prophetic weight. They seem to speak not only to individual destiny, but to collective future. They echo beyond personal spirituality into geopolitical reality. They remind us that Jerusalem remains the prophetic measuring line for nations, the divine plumb line for global alignment. How nations position themselves regarding Jerusalem still determines their place in the unfolding divine narrative. This principle, established in ancient texts, continues to operate with surprising precision in modern geopolitics. What does it mean that this is happening now, in our lifetime? The convergence of signs is impossible to ignore. Jerusalem reunified after millennia of division, the ingathering of exiles from the four corners of the earth, ancient biblical festivals observed with renewed vigor on the original soil, technology allowing the entire world to witness events in real time. Global attention fixed on this tiny strip of land. Political alignments shifting like the prophets foretold. Creation itself seeming to groan with increasing intensity through natural disasters. The awakening interest in spiritual matters across the globe. None of this is coincidental. All of it was written. All of it points to a divine timeline unfolding with precision. We are not merely observers, we are participants in prophecy. The acceleration is palpable. What once took centuries now happens in decades. What once required decades now manifests in years. What once needed years now unfolds in months. The prophetic timeline compresses as we approach its culmination. Jerusalem stands at the center of this acceleration. The shofar's call tonight speaks to this quickening, a heavenly announcement that what was distant draws near, what was prophesied becomes present reality, what was written now walks among us in living fulfillment. The shofar sounds a third pattern, the teruah, 9 rapid short blasts in quick succession, urgency, alarm, battle cry, divine attention. The sound speaks of imminence, of moments pregnant with destiny, of appointments kept after millennia of preparation. In Jerusalem, these sounds take on additional dimensions of meaning. They are not merely ceremonial, they are functional in the spiritual realm. They are operational technology in the heavenly dimension. The ancient rabbis taught that the shofar confuses the spiritual forces that oppose divine purposes. They understood something modern rationalism has forgotten, that sound carries spiritual authority when aligned with divine intent. Tonight, as the shofar sounds over Jerusalem, spiritual atmospheres shift. Angelic assignments activate, demonic strategies falter. The sound itself is prophetic declaration. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. This is happening now, unfolding today, manifesting in this moment. The prophets saw it. They wrote of it. They declared it would come at an appointed time. That time converges with our present reality. That appointment coincides with our generation. That prophetic moment manifests before our watching eyes. This moment in Jerusalem does not exist in isolation. The shofar's call reverberates far beyond these ancient walls. In living rooms across America, believers watch live streams with tears in their eyes. In underground churches in China, the faithful pray in solidarity. African congregations lift their voices in harmony with the Jerusalem prayers. European cathedrals hold special services acknowledging the significance. From Australia to Argentina, from Canada to Cameroon, the eyes of the nations are fixed on Jerusalem tonight. Technology has removed the barriers of distance. Prophecy unfolds on a truly global stage for the first time in human history. In that day, Jerusalem will be a heavy stone for all peoples, the prophet wrote. We are witnessing the fulfillment of those ancient words. The global response itself confirms prophetic accuracy, nations aligning exactly as foretold, some in support, others in opposition, most in confusion. The polarization accelerates. The divine sifting of nations based on their relationship to Jerusalem and biblical covenant proceeds exactly as the ancient text described. Nothing happens in Jerusalem that doesn't affect the nations. No prophetic advancement in the holy city occurs without global implications. The spiritual ripples from tonight's shofar blast will reach the ends of the earth, shifting prayer movements, influencing governmental decisions, affecting individual lives in ways that extend far beyond religious observance into geopolitical reality. The faithful continue their prayers through the night. Thousands maintain vigil at the Western Wall. Others gather in synagogues throughout the city. Some meet in homes. The prayers form a continuous spiritual canopy over Jerusalem. Ancient words rise into the night air. Modern hearts connect with eternal purposes. The spiritual atmosphere thickens with each passing hour. Something is shifting in the unseen realm. Something is advancing in the heavenly dimension. Those with spiritual sensitivity can perceive it. A turning point, a threshold crossing, a new phase in the prophetic timeline. Jerusalem has experienced many significant moments throughout its long and turbulent history. Yet tonight carries a distinct spiritual signature. It marks not merely continuation, but acceleration. Not simply observance, but fulfillment. Not just tradition, but transformation. The ancient prophets saw beyond the veil of time into this precise moment. They witnessed what we now experience. They wrote what we now live. The circle closes. The prophecy manifests. The divine word becomes present reality. The media trucks line the outskirts of the old city. Satellite dishes beam these images to every continent. Reporters struggle to contextualize what they're witnessing, most lacking the spiritual framework to fully comprehend it. Yet even in their secular reporting, they cannot help but use words like powerful, moving, historic, unprecedented. Social media explodes with first-hand accounts. Hashtags trend worldwide. The sacred invades the digital space. The ancient and modern collide in ways the prophets could never have envisioned, yet somehow still predicted. Knowledge will increase, and many will go to and fro, Daniel wrote of the end times. We see it happening before our eyes. Global connectivity allowing the nations to witness Jerusalem in real time. The technological aspect itself fulfills prophecy. The ability for all peoples, tribes, and tongues to observe simultaneously what happens in Jerusalem. This capability existed in no other generation. This global witness was impossible before our time, yet the prophets declared a day when all nations would fix their attention on Jerusalem. That prophetic reality manifests through fiber optic cables, satellite transmissions, digital platforms, modern technologies serving ancient divine purposes, contemporary means fulfilling eternal ends. Dawn approaches Jerusalem. The night of prayer continues. The faithful maintain their spiritual vigil. The atmosphere over the city remains charged with unusual spiritual energy. Those who have spent the night in prayer report extraordinary encounters, visions, divine whispers, supernatural peace, unexplainable joy, despite physical exhaustion. The veil between worlds remains unusually thin. Heaven continues to press against earth with uncommon force. The shofar's earlier declaration still resonates in the spiritual atmosphere. Its effects continue to ripple outward, touching lives far beyond Jerusalem's ancient walls. Reports begin to come in from around the world. Prayer gatherings experiencing breakthrough, individuals sensing divine visitation, communities witnessing unusual unity. Jerusalem's spiritual significance extends far beyond its geographical boundaries. When heaven touches Jerusalem, the earth feels the impact. When prophecy advances in the holy city, the nations experience the effects. This too was foretold. A time when Jerusalem would become not merely a physical city, but a spiritual catalyst, not simply a geographical location, but a divine instrument for global awakening. As the shofar's final note fades into the night, understand this truth. What we have witnessed is not the end, but another beginning. Prophecy unfolds in spirals, not straight lines. Each fulfillment leads to another level of manifestation. The story of Jerusalem and its connection to divine purposes continues to unfold. We stand at a significant marker on the prophetic timeline, yet many chapters remain to be written. The shofar has sounded throughout history as both ending and beginning, closing one chapter, opening another. Tonight's blast over Jerusalem serves the same dual purpose. It completes and initiates simultaneously. It fulfills and sets in motion. It commemorates the past while heralding the future. The prophetic journey continues. Jerusalem remains at the center. The nations keep watching. The divine story advances toward its ultimate conclusion. We have witnessed a significant moment, but not the final moment. We have observed prophetic fulfillment, but not prophetic culmination. We have experienced divine visitation, but not divine consummation. Jerusalem continues to march through history according to the divine timetable, advancing steadily toward its ultimate destiny as throne of the coming king and center of the coming kingdom. The night deepens over Jerusalem now. The prayers continue through the darkness. The faithful maintain their vigil until tomorrow's sunset. Yet something has changed in the spiritual atmosphere. Something has shifted in the unseen realm. The shofar's call has accomplished purposes beyond human understanding. Ancient words have found new life. Prophecies have advanced another step toward complete fulfillment. Heaven and earth have touched briefly, yet powerfully. Those with spiritual sensitivity will carry this moment in their hearts long after they leave this place. Jerusalem has once again served as the nexus point between the temporal and eternal. The Day of Atonement unfolds according to the divine timetable, with implications that extend far beyond this single observance. Watch Jerusalem, watch the signs, watch the convergence continue to accelerate. This is not merely history, this is prophecy, fulfilled before our eyes. This is not simply religious tradition, this is divine timeline made visible. This is not just another Yom Kippur, this is prophetic advancement in real time. Keep your eyes on Jerusalem, the ancient texts instruct us. Watch for the signs, the prophets advised. Tonight confirms the wisdom of their counsel. Tonight validates the accuracy of their foresight. Tonight demonstrates the reliability of divine revelation. Jerusalem continues its prophetic journey. The Shofar continues its eternal declaration. The nations continue their prophesied response. And we continue as witnesses to the unfolding of the greatest story ever told, the manifestation of the most accurate prophecies ever given, the fulfillment of the most faithful promises ever made. Watch, pray, prepare. The journey continues. The story unfolds. The prophecy manifests. Jerusalem stands at the center, and the nations, all of us, watch in wonder as divine purposes materialize in human history.